Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. You know, a lot of people are talking about this word Armageddon lately. I don't even know what that means. Eh, it's not the end of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 30 games of 2022, numbers 30 through 21. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, last year was just a great game year. It was just a phenomenal game year. And I've been putting off doing my top 10 list because there's some games that I just played recently that I was waiting to play in order before I did this. I usually do this list in like December or January, but I'm doing it in April because I wanted to make sure I hit some of these games. And there's still a ton of games. As I'm looking at other people's lists from last year, there's still a ton of games that I didn't get to play. And I can't put this list off any longer. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to talk about my top 30 games. I'm going to do 3 videos where I talk about my top 30 games. This one we're going to look at 30 through 21. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before I do that, let me just say, not only was it a great year for games, new games, it was a great year for new edition of games. Just briefly, I'm going to mention some of the new editions this year that I really liked. 1759, Siege of Quebec, Betrayal on House on the Hill, 3rd edition, Rommel in the Desert, Malta Besieged, Libertalia, Winds of Gilchrist, Zombicide, Undead or Alive, and Leve en Masse, to name just a few. Also, too, honorable mention, couple of games I really enjoyed this year very quickly. Kardashev Scale, you're kind of, from WizKids, you're kind of building up a galactic civilization with cards and these card tableaus. There's also a rock, paper, scissors mechanic. I really enjoyed it. And then also, too, Whirling Witchcraft from AEG. This game, you're trying to make these potions, and you're like moving. As you're completing things, you're giving other people cubes that then they, to your right, that they have to then use, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one quite a bit as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into my 30 through 21 here of 2022. And let me just say, there's a lot of great games last year I haven't had a chance to play, so don't be upset if your name isn't on this list. Number 30 is a game from Poland. It's from Phalanx, and this is Race to Moscow, 1941. This game looks like it's a war game, but in fact it's not. It is a Euro, kind of in the guise of a war game. What it is essentially, there are 3 army groups, Army Group North, Army Group Center, and Army Group South, and they are kind of racing each other to take their objectives in Rostov, Moscow, and Leningrad, and so you're each trying to do that. But as you're moving forward, you're encountering resistance. You are losing your supplies. You're losing your ammunition, your food, your fuel. So really, fundamentally, the game is trying to push through that resistance while you are trying to get your units supplied. Because if you can't get them supplied, they can't go forward. It's logistics. But it's a great game about keeping your eyes on the prize and your eyes on supply. So that is Race to Moscow. That is my number 30, and that is from Phalanx. My number 29 is an IP game. This is Spectre, the board game from Modiphius. Spectre, the board game, is essentially a game where you are all playing James Bond villains, and you are kind of selecting actions from an action track. You're trying to be number 1. And you've got kind of some area control going on a map of the world. And if you can control certain areas, you can take certain actions. And this game is, it's one of those games that kind of suffers from a not great rule book. But once you get it figured out, it's actually really fun, moves really well, and it has a great James Bond villain theme to it. And what's really good about this is, what I really like about this game is it is very asymmetrical. There's very different powers that different players have that they can use throughout the game in order to gain these little advantages, to break rules, and it's just super fun. If you like James Bond, you like James Bond villains, you want to check this one out. This is Spectre, the board game. That is from Modiphius. Number 28 is a game I played not too long ago. This is Jabba's Palace, a love letter game. This is from Z-Man Games. Jabba's Palace, a love letter game. It's a riff on Love Letter, but it is, again, so you got these one card is your hand, you draw another card, you got to play a card. But here you have these kind of agendas, and you're scoring agendas. As you're playing the game, you're trying to score these agendas. So there's different ways you score and different ways you win, but it's still that same basic, um, love letter game, but it's got this really cool Star Wars theme and in Jabba's Palace. Really enjoy it. That's Jabba's Palace, my number 28. That is from Z-Man Games. My number 27, another science fiction game. This one is Wormholes from AEG. Now, in Wormholes, essentially, this is a pick up and deliver game. You are in these spaceships moving around the galaxy. You are seeding wormholes that then you can travel through to move much quicker to pick up passengers on some planets and drop them off on others. But what happens is you're gaining points for dropping off these passengers, but frequently other players will find your wormholes useful. They will use them, and every time they use your wormholes, you gain points. So it's this great. It's one of these fun games to see the way the map evolves, but then it's just a great pick up and deliver game that's not too long, packs a punch for what it is. So this is my number 27. That is Wormholes. That is from AEG. My number 26 is another science fiction game, and this is Starship Captains from Czech Games Edition. So this is kind of a worker placement game where you've got these spaceships, and they kind of look like little enterprises, and you're moving around a board, but on your kind of player aid, you've got this like slot for these different colored workers that come out, and they're like, of course, lower ranking officers, and then commanders, and they can do different things. You can send them to different places. But they can attack pirates, they can develop new technologies, they can repair the ship. So there's different things these guys can do throughout the game. At the same time, you got various tracks you're trying to move up on to gain points and to gain other benefits and stuff. It's just a real fun kind of silly, that the artwork is very evocative of Star Trek: The Next Generation, but it's also very silly as well. And so it's a very fun kind of science fiction game that doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's still a lot of fun, and there's a lot of strategy there. That is Starship Captains. That is my number 26, and that is from Czech Games Edition. 25. This is both an IP and a science fiction game. This is Star Trek Missions from WizKids. There's the, what is it? Forbidden Realms was the thing. I think it's Forbidden Realms. It's a riff on that. Essentially, you've got cards that can score depending on how many cards you collect, and you're drawing cards, but then you're putting cards down. We've seen kind of other iterations of this. Red Rising, I think, was an iteration of this, and they've also come out. WizKids has also come out with a Marvel version, but it's kind of a simple thing. You've got two different kinds of cards, and you're scoring each card based on the other cards you've got. So you can constantly put down cards and then draw new cards, or take cards that have already been discarded into your hand in order to kind of maximize your points. It's a very thinky game, but it's fun. I like the Star Trek IP. You know what? I like screenshots. I know a lot of people think that's blasphemous. I think screenshots are great on cards. They're fun when it's with the right IP. And so Star Trek Missions from WizKids, tremendous fun. That is my number 25. 24. Are you getting tired yet? Another science fiction game. 24 is a big, massive campaign game. One of the biggest campaign games I've ever played, and I've only played the first few missions here. Solo, too. And that's because I don't like getting everybody together for a campaign game. But this is number 24. This is the ISS Vanguard, and this is from Awakened Realms. Now, ISS Vanguard is, like I said, it's a campaign game, but it's essentially, you've got, half the game is just kind of dealing with your ship and your ship systems. And what is it about your ship? What are you going to try to develop on your ship, and what resources and discoveries are you going to do, and what upgrades are you going to make? And then you go on an away mission. You land on these away missions. There's like a log. You can go to the different pages and read different sections. So there's a story that evolves. But you have to go ahead and, with your crewmen on the surface of the planet, you have to make discoveries. You have to engage with hostiles on these planets. You have to take off and land. You have to do a pre-launch, pre-approach scan. So there's a lot to this game, and it's a pretty heavy game, but there's such a depth of imagination and clearly care and love here that went into building this thing. And it's a very intelligent game. It's one that You know, I got to get out and play some more missions eventually, but it's also one of those things that if I get it out, I'm probably going to leave it out for a couple of days and play a few missions. So I got to wait till I got some time to do that. But I really like ISS Vanguard. That is my number 24. That is from Awaken Realms. My number 23, not a science fiction game. My number 23 is, rather, it's almost a class in and of itself. A religious game, I guess. This is Angel Fury from Fricks Games. And what's so cool about this is I love the theme is you've got angels and demons and they're battling over a human soul, right? You're not battling over the fate of the cosmos or the multiverse or anything. You're battling over one person. And so it's a cool theme, and I really like the theme quite a bit. But it's also a great gameplay. Essentially, it's kind of a deck-building war game, light war game, where you've got these various armies of angels and demons that are kind of advancing orthogonally on this board, and they can try to get currencies to build them up. They can get better cards. And what's cool is this is a deck building game, but I think you've only ever got like 4 cards. So when you upgrade your deck, you're getting rid of cards too. And it's a very fun system. It's a very, very engaging system, a great 2-player game, and really a lot of fun. So this is my number 23, Angel Fury. That is from Fricks Games. All right, shifting gears here to history. We're going back all the way to the ancient Roman Empire for GMT's game, Charioteer. Charioteer is a racing game. Now, in this racing game, you and your friends are on chariots. You're going around the track, but you're playing cards. And what you're trying to do is match symbols. When you play cards, you're matching symbols. You can match symbol with a lead card that's out in the arena as well. But you can also deal damage to your enemies. You can like kind of do tricks to kind of pause and to heal your charioteer. It's really a fun game. It's a great racing game. It's not terribly complicated. It's fairly fast, fairly quick, and it packs a big punch. So that is number 22, Charioteer from GMT. My number 21 is a game from Gale Force 9, and this is a riff on an earlier established IP game that they kind of remade without the IP, and this is Wise Guys. Now, Wise Guys it's based on Sons of Anarchy, which is a phenomenal board game. I really like playing the Sons of Anarchy board game. Wise Guys, I may think I like even better. It seems like it's streamlined a little bit, but I really like the artwork here. I really like the components. But essentially, it's an area control worker placement game. You're moving your people to some territories so they can do those actions. But then your enemies, they can move in their guys, and they can attempt to battle you there to take over that territory. Very good Euro, very engaging, and it's got this great mob theme, this mobster theme, kind of Prohibition era mobsters. It's really good, the art's fantastic, and gameplay is phenomenal. It's kind of a Euro Ameritrash hybrid because it's, like I say, worker placement, but you've also got combat and stuff, and it's really good. I highly suggest, if you haven't had a chance to play Wise Guys, you check it out. But that is Wise Guys, that is from Gale Force 9, and that is my number 21. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so that is my 30 through number 21 of my top 30 games of 2022. What do you think? Have you played these games? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Let me know what you think. I'm always eager to know what other people think of these lists I make. And again, I apologize for getting this one out so late. But please leave us a comment here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, on Twitter. We love to hear from you. Please also subscribe to our channel. Please like Facebook, etc., etc. And also, too, please check out my other channel. That is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history. I'm currently posting my lectures on World War II. Please check that out, and please give us, I'll probably post this on Board Game Geek, so please give a thumb to this video as well there. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I actually recently just bought a horse, but I don't think I'm going to race him. He's a lot faster than me.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I've been dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
vedrai farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto Adoncino d'amor. Delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto Adoncino d'amor. Non più avrai questi bei panacchini, quel cappello leggero galante, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante, quel vermiglia